I've just got some stuff done that I needed to finish off, so that's good. But hopefully the rest of the week's going to be really positive.
Yeah, exactly.
How you going?
Yeah, good. Busy. This has probably been our busiest week ahead, so just been planning, strategizing, but it's been amazing, grateful.
Very good. So explain to me what it is that you do.
Cool. So I'll just press record if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just so we can document this. So basically, we're at a point right now where in our business, we're talking with CEOs now. So we've got to a point where at capacity in terms of podcast production, we're helping leaders come out and start their own podcasts. Right, have that authority, have that leadership, and so we're taking one-on-one meetings. What was really powerful with you, we saw that you have over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. So if there was a podcast around Belief First, around Paul, speaking about your mission, your vision, how you're teaching leadership, whatever way you have an imagination, because you have an imagination on what you want to do, right? Where your brand is going, what's your mission, what's your vision, and so many people need that inspiration. So that puts us in a position where we also have sponsors that we can go to and say, look, Paul has 20,000 LinkedIn followers, he has a podcast, this is his target audience, and now it's about helping our CEOs generate revenue through the podcast. So all in all, we start and grow your own podcast while your personal brand works for you.
Right.
So may I ask, what was the reason you took this meeting with me?
Well, I just had to fill in some time. Now, I have thought about, I've got a couple of businesses and I have thought about doing a podcast for both of them at various times where it's been floated. The challenge I have is time. And I just bought into an AI consultancy package. So I really want to get that off the ground and running because it's obviously a good time for that. And the guys that I'm working with are like very, very good at what they do. So yeah. Who's Collins Mayaki?
He's one of the CEOs that we manage. So he was in a position where he owns multiple businesses, but he gets caught up in working in his business instead of working on it. So he told me, Sugira, before I met you, I've been doing what I've been doing for 10 plus years and never recorded it. I've been doing workshops, I've been teaching what I've been doing, but I never had a camera recording me. Now the fact that we can have a camera here, we document it. I can hire a CEO, so I can get out of being the CEO of the company, and I can just work on being a speaker. I can be a motivational speaker. I can get keynote bookings, and so that's really the path we're on. And just by building that brand, starting a podcast, having CEOs come in on the show, bring on CFOs, we bring on people within the industry, and now our mindset is, okay, we want Diary of a CEO level. I told our team, our clients' production quality has to be at the highest level. So we look for that Diary of a CEO, the storytelling aspect, so that now your content is working for you.
Yep. Set yourself a very high standard.
I mean, we looked at the marketplace and we said, if no one is doing this, And if we can get our videos closest to the sun, okay, who does everyone look at? Diary CEO. That's what I do. Like all of our clients, they see the clips. So if we can get our CEO's production level at that height, then the sky's the limit. Because it's going to keep people engaged, it's going to inspire people, it's going to keep people attracted. We can now go to sponsors and say, hey, look, we have Paul Dunn, he has 20,000 LinkedIn followers. This is his business. Obviously, there's sponsors if it aligns with you. There's Zero, there's company, they want software. You know, that's really up to you. We can just come up. These are the views that we're generating each month through the shorts. So it's about when we take a podcast, how can we get that podcast to make money? So the service you're paying us, you're not even paying us, you're getting and some because of the attention economy. If we can create the best product, these podcast episodes, whether you choose, okay, you're very time poor, we understand that. Our clients will do once a month podcast, once a fortnight, or once a week. You know, so once a month, 60 minutes in a month, you're doing one podcast. Out of that podcast, we get so much content. Now you're set for the next month. Maybe we record 2 episodes. Let's say you do a monthly package and then you do 2 60-minute conversations once a week or, you know, once a fortnight. Then you have 3 months worth of content in the back, you know. So sorry, I can go off on a bit of a tangent sometimes, but I just get passionate.
So do you, like with your podcasts, are they just audio or how do you do them?
No, video. So for example, let's say if you were to create a podcast, let's say me and you are having a talk right now. Paul wants to create a what would your podcast be about?
Drugs. I don't know. That's my answer to everything. I don't do drugs, but it's my answer to everything. What would it be about? I suppose about leadership coaching, AI, that all. But running a better business, I suppose.
Running a better business. Okay. So if we were to create your podcast, who are we targeting? And who would be dream guests for you? If you were to have a guest that I could say, hey, Paul, who you having on the podcast this month? Who are dream guests that you would like? And who is this podcast targeting?
What? Where are you based?
Sydney.
Okay. So you know what a licensed club is?
Yeah.
Registered club?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my market at the moment with the coaching business. Well, that is my market, sorry. And yeah, so my target are CEOs, general managers, senior managers in clubs. How do you run a world-class club? And then it's also about leadership and working with it's working with all the people in the club, but ultimately it's about the people that I'm targeting are CEOs and general managers. And there's a lot of people in the industry, because I think the industry does a lot of good, but it gets a really bad rap in the papers because they just focus on the gambling. And yes, there are problem gamblers, but there's problem drinkers, there's people that bash their wives, and things like that, you know. But for some reason, we want to beat up on pubs. What about this one? Pubs have 25% of the machines in New South Wales, and they pay more than half of the poker machine tax. But if we're going to beat up on people, let's beat up on clubs. You know, so that's one of my things is how do I promote clubs better? How do I get them to do a better job of promoting themselves? How do I get them to operate better? Because for years they were run really poorly. It was like, oh, we're making all this money from poker machines, I can do everything else at a loss, and you know, they weren't run very well. The really good ones now are run very well, obviously. So how do I help the others get better at that sort of stuff too?
That's very, very smart. So what's coming in my head is community straight away. So what would be the end result of something like that? Like you do this, what's the end result? What are we getting? Are we a membership community?
I get more clients in the club space and promote my brand. But as I said, I've taken on AI because with where the world's going. And there's a really good opportunity there. So we could be talking about how AI can help your business, help your team, help the community, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have another business which is electronic shelf labels, but that would be a different podcast. I wouldn't do that through this.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I wouldn't do that through this.
Okay, so then the next question is, who would we get as guests?
The good CEOs and chefs, people who run really good. Whereabouts in Sydney do you live?
I live in Cogra.
Cogra. So you know St George's Leagues Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a client of mine, and I basically run their executive meeting once a month and coach some of their senior managers. And one of the things we were talking about the other day is how do we get more chefs in the industry, because a lot of them, they're just not going there anymore. So most of them now are Nepalese. Not that there's a problem with that, but how do we get more people into the industry so they're not getting enough people through TAFE and places like that? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's say in a world like that, now where I would come and strategize with you and say, okay, cool, Paul, what are we doing for this month's podcast? Maybe you can say, look, there's someone at St. George Leagues Club, or there's a CEO here. You have connections, people, if you want our team to look for people, but there'd be a space for you to have guests. You can sit either here on the computer, or you do something. Maybe we go and record a podcast somewhere. That's us to be creative, I guess. But you could be sitting where you are right now, record a podcast, talk about the problems that are industry, why this is happening. Look, we're not seeing many chefs come through. This is the research, and then building around that.
I did actually mention it to the COO at St George Leagues Club, probably this time last year. I was thinking about doing a podcast about the club industry, and he said, I don't think your market's broad enough. He said it should be more about hospitality in general. But I suppose you could, but my focus is on clubs, so it sort of, does that hurt me by broadening it?
Not necessarily. I think the more niche you are, the better.
Yeah, okay.
So if we're in our process, we have an onboarding form. So in that onboarding form, we need to understand exactly who is your customer, who is that market. When if they're scrolling, which all of your audience is, and they see that piece of content on LinkedIn that says, yes, I have been going through that. He's talking about what I'm experiencing. Those CEOs, when they see it on LinkedIn, we're speaking to them. So if we can target them in all of our content, in YouTube Shorts, on social media, are you a club owner and experiencing this, for example, speaking to their pain points, that is perfect. So now you'll be garnering a crowd of your customers, club owners. This is them. This is content that relates to them. You speak their language. You've been in the industry. So it's like, let's just put a light on it. And now when they're scrolling, when they want to listen to their podcast, when you have your newsletter, you're saying, hey, in this month of, the newsletter, we spoke to this. Are you a club owner who's been experiencing this and this in the industry? Well, have a listen to this podcast. I sit down with the CEO of St. George Leagues Club. Have a listen below. Now, your community, your customers, what are they doing? They're going and listening to your podcast. So they're listening to you. Yes, we're not a company that, we're going to promise you the world. No, we got to build that brand. We got to put out the content. We don't get, just people from day one knocking on the door. No, that's what testing's for. But we understand that the more content we put out and flood the market, the more we dominate it, right? So there's no oversaturation. There's no, am I too broad? Am I too narrow? No, okay, who's the audience? What are the goals we're trying to achieve? And let's just put the content in front of the right people. Let's engage them, right? Let's get Diary CEO level. The reason why he's got the best podcast in the world is because he engages people with the podcast. So why can't we do the same thing? Put that effort and time in trailers and keep people's attention on our side.
Yep.
So your question would be your frequency. How often is this something? For example, we have two options where we do. Let's say you do once a month, but then you can record batch episodes. You could do, let's say, for the next we work per a quarter. So let's say in this quarter we're gonna have 3 podcast episodes. That's once a month. Maybe you do those 4 or 3 in that 1 week. So you have 4 months lined up, or you have 3 months worth of content lined up, which is a podcast episode, 40 minutes to an hour, boom, boom, boom. So in 1 week, you've already got 3 months worth of podcast episodes lined up. We have some clients who do fortnightly episodes, so they want even more. And then some, obviously, who do weekly, but it's really now depending on how frequently can you commit to just recording a podcast episode.
How long does it take to record? How long are the podcasts?
Well, I think a good podcast is 40 minutes to an hour. Like this meeting right here. In another world, this is a podcast. Let's say we've been having this conversation for an hour. We've talked. We've done our thing. Boom. That's simply one podcast. I have a camera recording me. Done. After this call, that gets put in a Google Drive, and then we now edit that and do all the editing and production. So I would say a good podcast, you talking about what's happening in your industry. It could even be you talking to the camera yourself. We can now just do world-class edits, so you don't necessarily even need a guest. You could just come on and have 40 minutes with, Paul. 40 minutes with Paul today, and it could just be you talking and we edit that. So usually it's just 30 minutes to an hour. That's really a good episode, because what we want to build is watch time. Think about it. If you can get your CEOs listening to you and spending 7 hours watch time listening to you, think about how powerful that is in the psychological. So we want a podcast episode from 40 minutes to an hour to really engage with our target audience. So that could be like once a month is one episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I obviously like the idea. Is it a right now thing? I've got 3 or 4 other things going on at the moment, so I don't know. Like I got to give a talk in September, start of September at a conference. There's another conference on next month. Oh, sorry, in August. Doing my newsletter. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, like I always say, even this call, you may not even need a podcast. I tell people all the time, like when we get on these calls, it's like, you may not even need this, and I'm not going to give you something that you may not need. Maybe you're so stuck and you're so busy to start a podcast. Hey, that's totally, that's fine. I understand that. It has to be within your timing. We have another cohort in September because we're closing our capacity this week. We're not taking any more people, just because, again, if we're targeting Diary of a CEO, we need the capacity limited so we have the best production. We got good turnover time. We need to be growing from day one. So we can always come back in September time, which is our next cohort.
Well, that might be a better option, because then I can think about it a bit more and about what I want to do and how I want to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Let's do that. You get in touch with me at the end of August, middle of August, and yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we can add you on the wait list. Get in touch, and then if it fancies your timing, let's go ahead. Yep. We'll send you the pricing structure just so you have it in the back, so and you can budget.
You sent it to me this morning.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, actually, if you can explain a couple of things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what's the content day 3 hours?
That's let's say if you have an event, you have a speaking gig, you have somewhere that you're really proud about and you want a camera to capture that moment. Okay, then Now you'll pay for a content day. We come out with our cameras. Maybe the podcast that month could be you got a booking at a keynote speech somewhere. We go record that. We got to be there in person by you, and film it, and so we can now get that content added in the podcast, gives us B-roll, gives us more content. So those are just add-ons that we have.
And the CEO workshop package?
So like you mentioned, one of our clients, Collins Mayaki, we host. So I came up with an idea just through my imagination. I said, listen, we can host a workshop teaching what it is you're passionate about, put it up on Eventbrite, we'll put it as a ticketed event, and because we're recording, because we do your brand, we will record the workshops, and that gives us content. So now we do workshops all around Australia, keep it ticketed, and because we have the cameras recording, that gives us content to be putting out on LinkedIn and getting more people to book in. So like that's one of the packages that we have if you want to do workshops.
So say it again, I've missed the first part.
So we took a client on a journey where we said, you can be teaching what you're passionate about in different cities across Australia, and we will document it. And that gives you more content. So now people are scrolling on LinkedIn and they're seeing you teaching what you do in front of a room full of people, and it's ticketed. So now we have a package where we throw workshops for our clients, and they're seen in a room on content, speaking and showing thought leadership content to their target audience. So those are just packages we add on.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you can either pay in like quarterly, like let's say you want to do, okay, I'll just pay quarterly 3 months. This is the campaign objective. Or you can just say, no, I prefer to pay monthly. If I do one podcast a month, I could do it monthly. If I want to do one podcast a fortnight, I could do it monthly. Or you can just do quarterly and just batch record. So, you know, you can go on holiday, you can do what you need to do when you've already got 3-4 months worth of content lined up and just being released. If you need social media management, we have that. If not, we just give you the content for your disposal.
Cool.
But we'll always manage the YouTube and Spotify and do all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So yeah, you can come back to us. We'll add you on the wait list, and then let me know.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much for your time, Paul.
Pleasure.
See you later. Bye. That was a meeting, guys. That was literally just me walking through what I go through in a meeting, having conversation in regards to our packages and what we do. That is me staying focused on market-facing activities. Those are calls where you can make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a call. Every call is not about making a sale. Some people might not need your service right away. Maybe it's not the right time for them. And so as a business, we've got in a fortunate position where we don't need every sale. If we don't get the sale, then that's okay. It's more about closing capacity and actually being very limited to who we can take in. We're just in that blessed position to say we can't take on everyone. We're going towards the highest level. We're just seeing if this call aligns with us. So that's really where we're going and how we're heading and as a business. So thanks guys for watching. I hope you got value in how to conduct a meeting and enjoy it. Thanks.